Hello everyone, I'm Madison Oliver. I am a fourth-year business management student on the 5-year MBA track at Florida A&M University, and I'm originally from West Orange, New Jersey. Welcome to a student's intro to alternative investments, where we have the opportunity to learn from current leaders in the alternative investment industry. Today we are diving deep into women's and next generation with Jade Miller. Jade Miller is responsible for structuring the Bourne investment programs, sourcing equity with broker-dealer, RIA, and institutional relationships, and also managing sales efforts across all offerings and distribution operations. Ms. Miller has 7 years of experience in alternative investment distributions and has successfully launched and closed 9 private placement offerings. So welcome, Ms. Miller.
Thanks. Excited to be here.
Can you share a little bit about your journey in finance from starting as a junior planner at Ameriprise Financial to your current role as president of capital markets at Bourne Financial Group?
So I went to school at the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, and while I was in school, I was majoring in finance. I worked as a cart girl at a golf course, and of course, I had to host a financial planning luncheon. I was serving waters, and the financial advisor said, "Hey, do you want an internship?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm working as a cart girl. I need a real job here." So I started working with him, and it was a really good experience. It was unpaid, and it was totally him using me just to be his assistant. He's a great guy. If he ever hears this, Jack, you're amazing. So he had me sit in and just kind of be his assistant. So I was just learning trial by error. And financial planning, I find, is really important. It was really interesting to see how people with so much money are managing it, what they're doing, what they're looking at, or people who are trying to build wealth, what that looks like. But I wasn't really attracted to the concept of helping people plan that. Every Wednesday they had a lunch and a wholesaler would come in. I didn't know what a wholesaler was, but I would sit in on the lunch because it was free lunch and I was in college. And it was a bunch of life insurance. And life insurance is beneficial, but as a 21-year-old girl, I didn't really understand that. And there was someone who came in from WP Carey at the time, and they were selling shopping centers. And I was like, I totally understand why you would invest in something backed by a J. Crew. That makes sense to me versus the stock market going up and down for no apparent reason. So we realized I was attracted to real estate and hard assets. And so then I started looking at different sponsors. And at that point, right, you're in college, whatever city sounds cool, whoever's going to pay you the most and give you a job offer. And so I ended up at a group called CNL. And fortunately, they did so much more than just real estate, so I learned a lot really early on. CNL was one of the bigger sponsors in the industry or in the alternative industry. The alternative industry ranges in sponsor size and what that looks like, and CNL happened to be one of the bigger ones. But the industry hit a little bit of a lull in about 2017. And so there was an opportunity for me to go to a private equity firm, and that was a very small company. So I did that for about a year. Didn't love it. Well, it wasn't my favorite experience. And I learned a lot about leadership in that role. And I learned who I wanted to work for and what I wanted to do. And I learned a lot about the industry. And there was an opportunity at Bourne, and I didn't know what they were doing. I didn't even know Bob Bourne's last name. He's my current boss, even though it was on the door. And I went and met with him, and they didn't have a sales team. They didn't know what they were doing raising money, but he was such a kind person. And at the end of the day, I was like, I had to think for my career, and I think this is important as you build out your career, and for all women, all people trying to figure out their career paths is, do you like who you work for, right? That's who, at the end of the day, do I support what he's doing, and do I like his vision? And I did. I was like, I don't know where we're going with this. This isn't the role I want. Let's do it. And so from there, I took a step back in my career to not doing sales, but to doing more operations. So I learned a lot from the operational side. And then as we moved forward with offerings, I had the opportunity to build the sales team. And so I ended up building the role I wanted by taking a step back, which is a really scary thing to do, but it worked out for the best. And I'm very thankful to have such a supportive owner of a firm. I'm very grateful to have someone who cares so much about his people. And I think his leadership has been instrumental in helping me develop my career path and how I want to lead.
Awesome. That's actually really inspiring, especially as a college student right now, just trying to navigate my way, hearing that you did learn from trial and error and you were just really open to new opportunities and trying new things. I think that's also really important. What initially drew you to alternative investments, and how do you see them evolving in today's financial landscape?
Yeah, so again, I like hard assets. I think that there's, for me, I don't really understand options or swaps, and a lot of people can go trade commodities all day, and that's really great. But that is not how my mind processes. I'm a very visual learner. And so understanding, okay, this is what you're investing in and why, I think that is what draws me to alternative investments, and that I think is why I enjoy my job. I'm big with sales and with all finance. I think you have to dumb it down. If I can't explain it to my nephew, then no one knows what they're investing in. And I feel like that is an issue that finance faces in general. No one really knows what's going on, so it makes it seem either sleazy or confusing. And so I am big, and our space is very big on education, and I think with hard assets, it's easier to educate and dumb it down. And so for me, being able to understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, look at it, see where it makes sense, that's why I like alternative investments. I also think there's a ton of benefits, right? You're getting diversity away from the market. You're getting less volatility. There's a lot of opportunities to either invest in stuff that empowers different charities, different groups, emerging groups, impact investing. I think all of that can happen with alternatives versus your traditional market type of funds.
Thank you for that. Are there any areas or resources that you think students would find really useful when looking into alternative investments, and just different ways that they should navigate this?
Shameless plug, I am the current president of ADISA, the Alternative Direct Investment Securities Association. We have a ton of educational content. We pride ourselves in being the best and biggest association in the industry, as well as the most informative and education-wise. So I would say on there we try to have a lot of resources, as I said, that dumb it down, or Alts 101, that make it easy. I think the alternative industry is really hard to find. So the fact that you all as students are here and that you're doing this podcast and experiencing it is unique, and that will help. We are trying to broaden that. That's one of our initiatives, is to help younger people find this industry. As you might have noticed, you're at our event currently. It is a little bit of an older crowd, so that's a big push for us. But as students, I would say continuously looking at private equity shops. I'm a big proponent of getting that big experience first, or at some point. It's always good to have corporate experiences, but there's a lot of small shops that you don't know about. So just looking around and Googling who owns this building, who owns this road, and just figuring out who it is and how they raise money. It's a lot of trial by error and just looking into that and taking the risk.
Expanding on this, how has technology changed the way that alternative investments are structured and marketed, and what tools or platforms do you find most valuable in your work?
Candidly, our industry is behind on technology. We're not as advanced as most industries would be, or traditional finance. As I said, we have an older generation that's still in leadership and very prominent in the industry, and we adapt slow to change. But I think with technology, what you're seeing is an easier access to these investments, which for you and I, as younger generations, are investing, and you're getting away from the 65, 70-year-olds investing. We want to be able to have it quick. I think that instant need for information and how the younger generation accesses information is going to be dependent on technology, and alternatives are going to have to get there, whether it's how we inform people about the funds, how they invest, how they learn about the industry. I specifically work in senior housing. Senior housing is even more behind than the alternative industry as it relates to social media. So from raising capital, I'm big on LinkedIn. I think that we try to promote the events. At ADISA, we try and promote a ton on LinkedIn, just getting your name out there, seeing what everyone's doing. But for senior housing, I recently attended a Globe Street event, and Globe Street focuses on all commercial real estate and a lot of office, a lot of traditional real estate. They're on X. They're on Instagram. They're trying to make sure people are seeing the properties. And they mentioned no one's doing it in senior housing. And at some point, that is where people are going to have to look for where they want their parents to be. And I would say that's true, right? I look up every restaurant on Instagram. So I recently have started becoming a senior housing influencer for Bourne Financial Group. It's a slow build. My mom is my biggest follower. She likes all of my posts, but I think that it's just really hard. I'm trying to figure that out. I give props to all the content creators out there. It's really difficult, but I do think having more of that mainstream social media presence is where the industry needs to go, both alternatives as well as commercial real estate and what we all raise capital for here.
That's awesome that you're really trying to break into an avenue that not many people have yet explored. And kind of just piggybacking off of this, looking ahead, what trends do you foresee impacting the alternative investment space in the next few years? And how is Bourne Financial Group positioning itself to adapt to these changes?
I think the biggest trend, again, is going to be the access to information. I think this generation and how we process things is going to be a challenge. Regulatory-wise, that's really hard. We have a lot of restrictions on what we can and can't do. And I think constantly working to educate and lobby on behalf of this industry to be able to put information out differently will be our biggest challenge. I think updating investors, what that looks like, how we allow investors to access the platform is a big focus at ADISA. We have a technology group who's focused on what that looks like and making sure it is more mainstream. I think that's going to be our biggest challenge. At Bourne, I'm trying to get senior housing to trend, which is very hard, but that's kind of where we're doing. We are trying to have more of a digital presence for our investors. No one wants mail anymore. They just don't. And whether they forget their password 9 times or not. So what that looks like, we're constantly evaluating different partners who are in the space to either have an investor app or a way to get information quicker. So that's what we're focused on to make sure that we're not behind as that wave hits the industry.
I'm curious to know, how have you been able to navigate really just getting other people at your firm on board with these, some might say, outlandish ideas of just trying to incorporate social media, which might not be as widely used in this area, like you were saying before. How have you really gotten people on board with this idea, and how have you really just been able to push forward?
Yeah, at Bourne, I'm really fortunate that we have a younger sales team. So my team specifically, which also coincidentally is mostly women, which is very rare in the industry. We have one male wholesaler. They're really supportive. They're like, okay, let's do it. We joke around a lot. We like to do that. So my team has been really good about it. I think as the industry as a whole, you have to take a risk, right? I have to post to my personal profile. That's really risky. I've never liked doing that. I've never liked the idea of being a realtor who has to promote their job on their personal site. But I have just swallowed my pride and done that a lot. With the older generation of my company, they're a little trepidatious as far as should they or would they follow or do these things. So we've just kind of said, hey, here's what we're doing. It doesn't impact you. You can either tell us no, which wouldn't be smart, or you can just get on board. And they've been really supportive as it relates to that. I think as an industry, something we face is trying to educate on social media, LinkedIn, what that looks like. We've tried to put on sessions or classes to help. And it's more so just having that younger generation help someone, whether it costs you $20 to hire, what that looks like. We try to be very supportive of that. There's some really great groups out there, Spotlight in particular, who helps companies with their marketing strategy. And I think, what companies are going to have to start adapting that or figure out who they're going to hire, how they're going to do that if they want to stay in the game.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that. As the head of ADISA's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, what are some of the initiatives that have been implemented to promote DEI in the financial services industry?
Yeah, so we started that committee about 3 years ago, and it was a slow build-up. We weren't really sure how we could get it going, what it looked like, but my initial idea was just change the way it looks. If you change the way a panel looks, if you change the way the stage looks, and it's not just everyone looks the same, at least we're slowly incorporating that change. So our first initiative was the panels. We started to do women CEO panels, which was actually eye-opening because we realized how few women CEOs were in the space. And that was a big wake-up call to us. We were like, there's not enough people to put on a panel. That's sad. So we focused on, okay, who are up-and-coming women? Let's promote them, because if we promote them on a panel, then their boss is going to say, hey, they have a lot of visibility. We need to promote them. They are more of a voice compared to the male CEO that no one sees behind the scenes. And that's no offense to them, but we were just trying to change the way it looked, give them that visibility and help them. We also partnered with the Milken Institute. We started trying to do it on our own before we knew about the Milken Institute and that initiative, and that was very hard. We were going to local colleges and trying to see which students we could get and organizing it on our own, and that was risky. So the partnership with the Milken Institute has been a huge advantage for us. We like to have students such as yourself come in. It's incredible how ahead you all are compared to where we all were when we were in college. You guys are so incredibly smart. It's eye-opening. And so I think that partnership, continuing that, we are trying to find avenues to help students get their SEI before, just another way to get a leg up. So as at ADISA, we've just been really focused on getting the right people in the room so that they can educate themselves on the alternatives, and then also getting the right people up on stage just to make it look different, to try and slowly incorporate that. But it's an uphill battle for us.
Thank you. And I do want to just thank you for all of the work that you are doing. It's actually changed my life, being able to attend conferences such as ADISA. I was able to attend the ADISA conference in Chicago and now this one. And it's just been such an amazing opportunity, and it's really inspiring to see you pushing through and trying to get us in these spaces and just being such a big advocate for us. It's been really a great opportunity. How do you measure the success of DEI initiatives within your organization, and what metrics or feedback do you consider most important in assessing their impact?
I would say as an industry, we aren't at the finish line yet with regards to DE&I. We still have a very uniform looking group at the top of companies, but it's events like this and having you all, and again, glad you are here, and I'm so glad that you're benefiting from it, but having events like this that make me believe that we're starting to move in the right direction. And so I like to measure progress and see where we are moving forward, just slowly at each event versus overall. I think, again, it's going to be an uphill battle, but we're getting a little bit better every time.
Awesome, thank you. As a woman trying to break into the financial services industry, how do you think that I can best prepare myself for success in this career?
Yeah, I would say I'm blown away already by your confidence. I think that is the hardest thing for women, is the confidence. In financial services specifically, we already feel like we're at a disadvantage. So fake it till you make it, right? I think having that confidence and continuously learning to read the people in rooms, I think is very important. Women in general have to be smarter. We have to know what we're talking about, because it's already assumed that men in finance know more, that we're not. And so it's how you carry yourself, knowing more, just being prepared. I think all of that is advantageous, and just learning people. I think that that is one of the biggest skills women have over most men, is reading the room, understanding people, and understanding how to navigate situations. And I think that that is an advantage that women can continue to use in finance, is learning how to read that room and put themselves in a situation where they're in a position where they can advance and can continue to move forward.
Right, and that was actually one of my follow-up questions for you. What challenges women face in this industry, and how organizations can better help to support them and empower female professionals in finance?
I still think that there is a challenge of what it looks like at the top. I think one of the biggest challenges is still going to be the pay gap. It's naturally assumed that women don't need to make as much, that they have a husband or they have somebody else who's making that. And I think that is a challenge that we as an industry face, or that the male candidate should get more, he's going to ask for more. And I think that women tend to not ask for what they deserve. We're trepidatious, right? We're like, okay, what about this? Whereas, again, a confidence thing. And so I think that continuously building that confidence, we try and bring in a lot of women speakers to ADISA who teach you how to negotiate that. What does that look like? How can we help you empower that and make you think that you deserve that? We do a lot for women's networking, and I know we'll talk about that at some point, but I think getting that empowerment so we all realize we're in the same situation helps us build that confidence as women. I think continuously finding the right bosses who are going to give you that opportunity is going to be key. Because once you see a couple women who are president, who are this, then all of a sudden you think, okay, well, I can be too. Or another company sees that it works. And so it's just really helping empower each other and building up that network so that it doesn't look so weird when it's women. It should look like there's women at the top versus just men. And that's what we're trying to change as an industry.
That is one thing that I noticed from attending these conferences, that you all do have a lot of women that do participate on the panels. So it's been really cool just hearing their perspectives and seeing just how well-rounded and educated everyone is. It's been really inspiring for myself. And kind of just to follow up with that, how important do you think networking is for women in alternative investments, and what strategies have you found effective for building a strong professional community?
I think networking specifically in alternative investments is the foundation of our business. It's a very relationship-based business. You do business with people you like and trust. And so networking with women is key. There's a lot of events that are out of town, dinners, whatnot. I think having that support system of another woman who you travel with or who you guys walk to your room together with, that's big for me. I have a lot of mentors in the industry that have been women who have said, like, hey, do this. don't do this, don't talk to this person or talk to this person. And so that has been a huge help to me. We, again, try and do a lot together once you do have that network. I am very fortunate that the women in this industry are so kind. Everyone is open to whoever wants to attend something. Someone will put together a walk. And I think, just stuff like that. It's just being with people, building that camaraderie so that you don't feel so alone or you don't feel like you're the only woman in the room. And I think that as you build that camaraderie, we tend to naturally want to help each other. Most of my business comes from my competitors, not my clients, right? They will tell me who to talk to, and that's just building that friendship and networking. For women, I will say one of the challenges with networking, we can't take a male client out to a game or dinner alone, right? Sometimes that has a bad impression, so I think that is a challenge. So partnering with another woman always tends to help. So I think just building that friendship and camaraderie is huge in this industry.
Thank you so much for all that advice and insight on this. This has really been a really impactful conversation. And I just wanted to conclude with asking what advice you would give to a young professional woman looking to enter the finance industry.
I would say find a mentor. Find a mentor who's going to help build you up and build your confidence. You are going to have to work harder. You're going to have to get up earlier. You're going to have to be there before your male counterparts, and that is what it is, but it'll pay off in the long run. So find someone you trust and respect and ask them to help you. Ask them where they would go, what they would do. But doing that and, again, continuously working on your people skills, because I think that is the biggest advantage women and younger women have, is being able to read the room better than their male counterparts and having that natural maturity. So I think that is a huge advantage that I've seen within you and a lot of the other women who are attending here today.
Thank you so much for such a powerful conversation, and thank you all so much for tuning in today. We're so glad that you joined us for such an insightful conversation on women and next generation in alternative investments with Ms. Jade Miller. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our channel. We'll be back soon with more expert insights and student perspectives on alternative investments.